Isn't it amazing, going back to your point about when you immediately know something doesn't work?
Yeah.
Like we did that. So we started going live in February, but we started meeting here in December.
Oh, yeah.
Just so we could get a good vibe going and a good rhythm. And I remember sometimes I would bring, you guys remember I brought that, it was something about with car numbers. And I was going to do something. We were just thinking about content, right?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, well, we got 5 months till the season starts.
Yeah.
It was something about like the greatest driver for a certain car number.
Okay.
And they all kind of had blank stares. And I started going into zero as
You're a
Ollie
history
Silva.
geek, that's why.
And I wasn't feeling it. And then Rob said something else. And I was like, yeah, just go with that. Because I knew immediately that this idea that I kind of prepped him for about 45 minutes was just not going to be good.
That's what I'm seeing now with my YouTube channel. It's like what I see is working.
Yeah.
And what I thought would work is completely different.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, what is happening? It's like my brain's not working right now. Like, why is this not adding up? Like, I think this was so cool. Why is no one else? And then I do something else. I'm like, that's so lame. But everyone's like, whoa. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do more of that. Like,
right.
It's crazy. But
The
that's
most
what it is
watched
with the schedule too.
The most watched video on my YouTube channel is this tribute I did to Richie Evans when the Speedbowl had the Mr. Rooter race.
Oh, yep.
And the quality it's awful. Like the light. I don't even think I had a lighting kit then.
You had a potato back then?
It was terrible.
It's like, what the heck is this?
And everyone, like, every year, it's my most watched video every year.
It's
and I'm
insane.
like, there's so much better stuff
matter,
on my
but
channel.
It's the same concept.
Right. And the other thing with content creation now is like it's way, way more about filling an unfilled niche than it is about actually creating good content.
Yes.
Like if you fill a niche that people are looking for and it's slop, it doesn't matter if it's slop.
Yeah.
It's getting the views anyway as long as the interest
does
is
not
still
matter.
there.
Right.
Like I can make the coolest video about my racing, my in-car, the most paid out, like I could have professionals come do it. It will not get as much views as me cleaning a toilet.
Right.
I'm like, why are you guys watching me doing this right now? Like a 30 minutes.
No,
of
but
me
that
cleaning a
happens,
bathroom?
though.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
insane.
All right, so we're going down this path, so let's just ride with it here.
Sure.
So what made you decide that to do the YouTube stuff?
My wife. So we've been married for 5 years now, and every day I come home, I tell her what I was doing. She's like, you need a reality TV show. Like, you really just told me this? I'm like, yeah, just normal stuff I do at the track. Like, that's what I do every day. Like, no, you need a video. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And finally this year, I started the channel because I told Paul, I talked to him about it all winter. I'm like, there's there's a connection missing between the fan and the racer of what goes on during the week for the racer at the shop. Like, that was my original idea of the YouTube channel. Like, record in the shop, working on the car, what it's like to unload your car with the rear end hanging out of it because you just destroyed it. Like, get a forklift and try to drag it out. Like, the fans see the cars and together when they show up to the track, they see them wrecked going in the trailer, but what happens to fix them? So I started with that idea, and my first couple of videos were really bad, like quality. I didn't know what I was doing. But then it turned into making content pretty much of what people want to see.
Yeah.
Like I slowly am getting off of the in-car videos, the actual me racing. I'll do a race day of me at the track working, and my racing will be in it, but I won't focus as much on racing, even though that's what I originally wanted to do. But there's just so many racing videos out there now.
Right, you got to set yourself apart.
And everyone wants to see what's happening behind the scenes at the track.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's this
100%.
what I think is the silliest thing, just picking up trash. Like, people want to watch me do that because it's like, I never thought of that.
That's great.
Like me, it was so smart of you to stand in the trash bag to push the garbage in instead of picking up one by one. I'm like, yeah, obviously. Like, come on.
People are getting so hyped.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, yeah.
That's funny.
There is something there, and we've talked about this a little bit at the track during the season, but there's something that you've tapped into that is mesmerizing. And I think, part of it is your personality. You have a funny sense of humor. I actually think you do this cool thing with silence. And I don't know if you guys ever watched Everybody Loves Raymond. I used to love that sitcom. And one of the things I loved about that show was if something was funny, they would just sit there and let their expression and the silence make it funnier. It's a certain thing, and you have that sometimes. You come across something you weren't expecting or something, and you just kind of look at it for 10 seconds. It's like, what? Say something.
It's like stall out. It's like, what do I say? What do I say? Like,
And it cracks me up every time. But there's also that wonderment of the behind the scene access of operating a racetrack that you don't really get anywhere else. So,
which I think it's awesome to see that a lot of people are enjoying it, and that's one thing I'm trying to figure out at this time frame now. Like my YouTube channel's changed so much, and I've only been doing it for 5 months.
Yeah,
right. It's changed so much from racing content to race day content to behind the scenes to getting the track truck fixed. Right, I got the T-shirt for it.
Yeah,
and people are asking for other things. I'm like, I don't know if I already showed that a couple months ago, but I'll do it again, but in a different way maybe, so people are interested in it. But to find the content that people want to see and it's not repetitive is a struggle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's fun to do it, and it's difficult to record myself doing some of these, as a lot of times I'm working by myself. It's like I just use a tripod camera and my cell phone. Like that's it. Like it's hard to set these up to make it where people are going to want to keep watching. But like Fro said, it doesn't matter what the quality is. People will keep watching.
Yeah, 100%.
If it's not there to be seen anywhere else.
I love the evolution of that process. Like when you think of Sid's View now, right? You think of me sitting in the stands wearing a mic, hi-yahs, the whole thing, right? Hi-yah. And if you went and watched the first 20 episodes of Sid's View, it was, we're going to focus on one race, and we're going to shoot it from turn 4, and then we're going to interview whoever the story was about. If you wrecked, if you won, whatever, we'll interview after the race. And then we decided that, I think we did the late models once, and we were like, oh, well, let's just go watch the races to the late models because they run last. And the next time we did that, Jesse was like, you should just keep the mic on you because you're pretty funny when you're watching the races. Like, your friends all come, you say weird. Right. He's like, you talk weird. I'm like, yeah, I've heard
the
that.
side commentary. Like, it's awesome.
And so, like you said, eventually we scrapped that whole thing from turn 4 and whatever, and we'll just sit in the stands and drink beer with my mic on and watch all the races. Right. And that's, but that was a process that took us through the whole kind of, I think it was probably until maybe August of the first year before we figured that out. And it was like, oh, okay, that's what everybody wants to hear. Everyone was coming up to me, talking about what I was saying. They weren't like...
That's the coolest part. Like, people coming up, they're like, who are you? And then they talk about your videos, and it's like, whoa, like, you're watching these, like, legit. Like, oh, man, this is too serious now.
Right.
No, it happens with us with the podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, we walking through the stands, and the guy's, like, talking to me. I say, Sid, holy shit. I have no idea who the hell these people are. I'm getting an ice cream talking about my wife. I'm like, excuse me?
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like I was just like thrust into it too. Like if I'm walking like through Stafford now and I don't want to talk or I don't got time to talk, I gotta like put my head down or else people are gonna start heckling me.
Jump in the next door you see. Right?
Yeah. Well, the icebreaker was fun because that was our first event.
I don't think it was fun.
And we were...
It was not fun.
You didn't have fun?
No. Do you remember the tour cars in the rain? It rained.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Our heat race was in the pouring.
That's right.
I was getting wet. Right. Like, it shouldn't be I should not be in a race car. In a tour modified, getting wet. Like, the rain was hitting me. I'm like, what are we doing out here?
This is why I don't have that. So this almost makes me like a horrible boss, but these guys had infield duty. We were shooting for the Monaco's, and I was up in the press box, nice and dry.
Oh, what a scumbag!
I know.
That's a douche.
But if you were me, would you really say, "Oh, let me go down there and sit with them with the cold"?
I'll be right down.
Dude, and that weekend was a fever dream for me and Remy. I feel like. I mean, I was sitting there in the infield, like, is it gonna run? Is it not gonna run? It's like it felt like kind of like a hellscape. And then I got to do post-race interviews with all these drivers I've never talked to before. I'm like, oh, God. Like, what's going to happen?
We tried to warn these two, like, you're not going to go into the tracks incognito now because we were already, even before the race season started, we were getting feedback via social media that people were watching. Or Diego and I would get texts. And so we tried to warn these two, like, you're not going to be some anonymous people on Stafford's team anymore, now. Right. And I'll always remember walking around with them at Thompson on that weekend because remember the lady that freaked out, wanted the selfie? She was like, oh my God, bro. And like, yeah, it was amazing.
That's awesome.
Matter of fact, George Brissett just sent me a picture the other day, and I'm not even great friends with him.
Right.
The picture with you two. He resent it to me.
Oh, God, I love that.
I'm so proud.
These guys were pumped, boy.
That's funny.